A clash of titans, sizing up the US and Russian militaries. The United States and Russia boast the world's most formidable militaries. The US military budget dwarfs all others. It allows for cutting-edge technology and global reach. Russia, however, maintains a massive nuclear arsenal. This force is a legacy of its Soviet past. Despite economic challenges, Russia has modernized its armed forces. New tanks, aircraft, and missiles have been introduced. This modernization effort seeks to close the gap with the US. However, the US retains a qualitative edge in many areas. This includes areas like drone technology and intelligence gathering. The US military benefits from a vast network of allies and bases worldwide. This network allows for rapid deployment and power projection. Russia's alliances are less extensive. However, its partnerships with countries like China are growing stronger. This dynamic creates a complex geopolitical landscape. These factors highlight the strategic complexities of a potential US-Russia confrontation. While the US holds advantages in certain areas, Russia's military capabilities cannot be underestimated. The outcome of any conflict would depend on various factors. These include the specific circumstances, the willingness of allies to get involved, and the potential for escalation. Nuclear behemoths, a look at the arsenals. Both the United States and Russia possess thousands of nuclear warheads. This arsenal is a chilling reminder of the Cold War. Both countries have the capacity to destroy each other many times over. This capability has shaped global security for decades. The US and Russia have signed treaties to limit their nuclear arsenals. These treaties aim to reduce the risk of accidental or intentional nuclear war. However, tensions between the two countries have risen in recent years. This has led to concerns about a new arms race. The modernization of nuclear weapons is another area of concern. Both countries are developing new, more advanced nuclear weapons. This modernization effort raises questions about the future of arms control. It also raises concerns about the potential for a new era of nuclear instability. The nuclear arsenals of the US and Russia pose an existential threat to humanity. The potential consequences of a nuclear conflict are too grave to contemplate. Therefore, it is essential for both countries to engage in dialogue and diplomacy. They must work towards a safer and more secure world. The dragon in the room: China's potential role. China's rise as a global power adds another layer of complexity to the US-Russia dynamic. China has been steadily increasing its military capabilities. It is investing heavily in advanced technologies like hypersonic missiles and artificial intelligence. This has raised concerns in Washington and Moscow. While China is not a formal ally of Russia, the two countries have grown closer in recent years. They share a common interest in challenging US global leadership. They have conducted joint military exercises and coordinated their foreign policies on several issues. In the event of a conflict between the US and Russia, China's role would be a significant factor. Beijing could choose to remain neutral. However, it is also possible that China might provide Russia with diplomatic, economic, or even military support. This could tip the balance of power in Russia's favor. The US is closely monitoring China's growing relationship with Russia. Washington is concerned about the implications for its own security interests. The potential for a US-Russia conflict underscores the need for a clear and comprehensive strategy towards China. This strategy must include elements of deterrence, diplomacy, and engagement. Section 4. A House Divided: NATO, Hesitation, and Potential Rifts. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, is a military alliance formed in 1949. Its purpose is to provide collective security against potential threats, particularly from the Soviet Union during the Cold War. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, NATO expanded eastward, incorporating many former Soviet republics and allies. This eastward expansion has been a point of contention with Russia, which views it as a threat to its security interests. In the event of a direct military conflict between the United States and Russia, NATO's role would be crucial. However, there are internal divisions within NATO regarding the extent to which member states would be willing to get involved in such a conflict. Some NATO members might hesitate to engage in a full-scale war with Russia. This is due to factors such as close economic ties with Russia, fear of Russian retaliation, or a desire to avoid escalating the conflict. The potential for internal divisions within NATO poses a challenge to the alliance's cohesion and effectiveness. Russia could exploit these divisions to weaken NATO's resolve. The United States, as the leading member of NATO, would need to work to maintain unity within the alliance and ensure that all members are prepared to fulfill their commitments in the event of a conflict with Russia. The potential for hesitation and rifts within NATO underscores the complexity of the security situation in Europe. It highlights the need for clear communication, strong leadership, and a united front within the alliance to deter aggression and maintain peace. Section 5, Shifting Sands, Arab Nations, and the Allure of Alignment. The Middle East, with its strategic importance and volatile political landscape, adds another layer of complexity to the potential for a US-Russia conflict. Arab nations, many of which have historically been US allies, are increasingly diversifying their partnerships and seeking greater autonomy in their foreign policy decisions. Russia has been actively cultivating relationships with several Arab countries in recent years. It is engaged in diplomatic outreach, provided military aid, and invested in economic projects in the region. This engagement has allowed Russia to increase its influence in the Middle East and present itself as an alternative partner to the United States. Several factors might motivate some Arab nations to support Russia in a conflict with the United States. These factors include dissatisfaction with US policies in the region, such as its support for Israel, its involvement in regional conflicts, and its perceived double standards on human rights. Additionally, some Arab leaders may see Russia as a more reliable partner than the United States, particularly in light of the US's recent withdrawal from Afghanistan and its perceived retrenchment from the Middle East. The potential for Arab support for Russia in a conflict with the United States highlights the shifting dynamics in the Middle East and the challenges facing US foreign policy in the region. The US needs to adapt to this changing landscape by engaging with Arab nations on a more equal footing, addressing their concerns, and demonstrating that it remains a reliable and committed partner. Section 6, A World on Edge, the global stakes of a US-Russia showdown. A military confrontation between the United States and Russia would have profound consequences that would reverberate far beyond the borders of the two countries involved. The global implications of such a conflict would be immense, potentially leading to a new Cold War, a global economic crisis, and even the threat of nuclear war. One of the most significant consequences of a US-Russia conflict would be the division of the international community. Countries would be forced to choose sides, potentially leading to a new era of global blocs and alliances. This polarization would exacerbate existing tensions, hinder cooperation on crucial global issues like climate change and pandemics, and increase the risk of miscalculation and escalation. Furthermore, a conflict between the US and Russia would have devastating economic consequences. Both countries possess significant economic leverage and are deeply integrated into the global economy. A conflict would disrupt trade, investment, and financial markets, leading to a global recession or even a depression. Perhaps the most alarming consequence of a US-Russia confrontation is the risk of nuclear escalation. Both countries possess thousands of nuclear weapons, and even a limited nuclear exchange would have catastrophic humanitarian and environmental consequences. The use of nuclear weapons would be an act of unimaginable recklessness, and it is essential that both sides exercise restraint and pursue diplomatic solutions. In conclusion, a military conflict between the United States and Russia would be a global catastrophe with far-reaching and potentially irreversible consequences. It is in the best interest of all nations to work towards a peaceful resolution of differences through dialogue, diplomacy, and a commitment to international cooperation. The stakes are simply too high to risk the alternative.